Okay, friends, it is our last lecture. So really excited, but really sad. You guys have been an incredible class. So just want to say thank you for letting me be part of your learning journey here at Coding Dojo. It's been really fun. You guys have asked great questions. You guys have been super attentive and helpful to one another. And I think that's really how you have success, especially in a boot camp, is making friends. One thing to remember is most people don't get jobs based off their knowledge. It's a lot of networking. So please, please, please continue to network, know people, because people in this class, right out of the gate, they might be your competition, but 3 years down the road, they might help you get a job and land a new dream job at a new spot that they're at, or vice versa. So continue networking, continue to work together, because you guys have been incredible at that. So great job on that. Okay. We talked about this already, kind of off the recording, but discussion questions, course assignments, belt exam, all are due tonight, end of day. So 11:59 p.m. PST or PT. Congratulations. And again, there's a class survey. You guys have already filled that out. But anybody watching the recording, please check Discord because it'll be in there as well. All right. So since this is our last lecture, we like to do a few different things. First thing is we like to just kind of show you what's next and what you can expect. I'm kind of telling you what's next and what you can expect. So on Friday, which is tomorrow, you will be receiving an email from your new instructor. Unfortunately, though I was under the impression I was doing web fundamentals, I am not going to be your instructor for the next stack. I'm moving on to projects and algorithms. And so you will have a new instructor. They will be amazing. But it's also good to learn different learning styles and teaching styles. We have some incredible instructors on these teams. And so I think you'll be really grateful for whoever you have. I think they're going to be great. But tomorrow you will be receiving an email from them. It's going to be similar to the email I sent you at the very beginning. You don't have to do like another orientation or anything like that. That was just a one-time thing. Their email will give you, access to their class calendar. So their stack sheet that we talk about, our Google class sheet, the new Zoom room, your Discord channel. You will be moved to Discord. So please know that our Discord channel will cease to exist after tomorrow. You will be moved into your Discord channel accordingly. So if you have made friends that are either in the Flex program or the Accelerated program and you're in the opposite, just make sure you connect with them. So that way, because you will be outside. It's not like just one big web fundamentals Discord channel. It is based off of instructor because you guys are going to be going at different paces. So you'll receive that. They'll move you over. You will have access starting Monday. You'll have access to all the web fundamentals material. So that way you guys can get started, jump in. If on Monday morning you wake up and you do not have access to web fundamentals, please, please, please email your new instructor. You email your new instructor and say, hey, I don't have access to this, or go in Discord and put that in Discord because they can help you. It looks like Trey is the accelerated TA. So you'll still have Trey, which is awesome. But yeah, you can DM Trey and Trey can help you get access to the material and or at least get it into the hands of people who can kind of get you unlocked and ready. I'd like to give just a little bit of a brief overview of what the material looks like. One thing that does always get students, this is my biggest gripe also, but your material will say 2021. Obviously, it's not 2021, but I don't know why we can't change it, but it is going to say that. So if you see this, if you see Web Fundamentals 2021, you're not in the wrong course. I don't know why it's stuck like that, and I don't know why we can't figure out how to change that, but for right now, that's what we got. So don't get confused by that. It's okay. It's still the same material. What you'll be going into is a couple different things. You guys are going to be learning all about the front end development. So you're going to be learning about HTML. HTML is going to be sort of the framework of any sort of web page that you see. It is how we set everything up, right? It's kind of how everything looks. We're laying out the framework. We always usually like to compare it to like building a house, right? When you are starting to build a house, you have this framework. You can't really see the colors, but you see that there's a wall here, or you see that there's going to be stairs there, right? It's how it's going to look in regards of it's the whole setup, the whole framework of that. Then you'll go into CSS. CSS is going to be how everything looks. So your walls, what color are they? What kind of material are they? What do you have? Shag carpet? Do you have wood, right? What is the whole visualization of that? And then lastly, you're going to finish with something that you guys now know very well. It's called JavaScript. Now you're going to be building on this. So you're going to take some of these things that you know when it's about variables and operators and types, you know, all of that functions. And you're going to be building stuff so that way you can build interactive websites. So this is part of, if you're going back to the house analogy, well, what can your house do? Does it have heated floors? Does it have AC? You know, those kind of things. So your HTML is your framework, your CSS is your styling, and what it looks like, and then your JavaScript is, well, what can it do? Those are the three main things that build up any web page. Some fun fact that you can kind of do, and it always makes your friends all think you're a hacker, is most of them have it. Google, I use Google Chrome, but if you right click and go to inspect on any web page, you can see all of this code here. This is your HTML. Right? So this is all of the code for this. Now there's some backend code that we maybe don't see, but you can see all sorts of code that makes up this whole website. You can do this on any website. But if you do this inspect tool, you can even change it to where if I want, you know, this to say Will's fundamentals, I can. So you can like prank your friends. And then it says Will fundamentals. And you can be like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is incredible. And then if you just refresh, it just goes back to normal. So it's not going to break anything. But this inspect tool is a fun thing to play a prank on your friends. Yeah, Trey's got a great question. Is HTML a programming language? That is a debate. But that's what you'll be doing. You're going to start really in HTML. You're going to be jumping in pretty quickly with this, with HTML, and learning how to do these different tools, different things, usually about a week to a couple days of HTML, and you jump into CSS pretty quickly, and then it's finished up by JavaScript. So it is fast paced, but it's very fun. There's plenty of games, and your instructor will show you kind of how to, that'll help you kind of reiterate some of these tools. I know a lot of you guys really like the Algo app because it just was reiterating things. Thankfully, there's lots of tools out there, especially for CSS, that can help you really understand selectors and how this all works. So you're going to be building fun things. And I know it sounds and seems very far off, but what you will end up building is something very similar to this. So you will be able to build something like this by the end of this stack, where even if you click on stuff, if you click I accept, this disappears. When you click on a city, an alert comes up. Like, you guys will learn all of this, and it might seem very far in the future, but you are going to be able to learn that. So I hope that's exciting for you to know that you are going to surprise yourself with how much you're going to be able to learn and know. It is a little bit slower paced than what we have here in regards of assignments. I think there's 7 total assignments throughout your 4 weeks compared to the 7 assignments in the first week. So if you're worried about like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a grind, it's not as much of a grind. The material just looks a little bit different, but you'll be able to do that, and you'll have incredible instructors. Trey, who's instructing next class?
Kyle.
Kyle? Oh yeah, Kyle's the GOAT. Kyle rocks.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really love Kyle. So you're going to be A-okay. Really, really, really like Kyle. He's incredible. I mean, all of our instructors are incredible, but he's especially incredible. So yeah, he'll be great with that. And that's what you guys will be doing. So he'll be sending you an email tomorrow. Again, that he's going to move you over to Discord. So if there's anything in our chat you want to save, please do that now or by tomorrow morning. He'll open up the material, and then everything should be good to go. You should be getting an email. If you don't get an email tomorrow, and you had all the material, you should get an email either way that you have to retake or that you are moving forward. So if you don't get anything, please let us know. unfortunately on Saturday and Sunday, nothing really can happen because none of the people that can kind of move you are working. But let a TA know and then they can put the message. And then on Monday morning, first thing. The material doesn't open until Monday morning anyway, so we'll be A-okay. Perfect. Thank you, Zach, for being in here. I did the end of stack survey, so that's fun. We'll make sure we get this done. Okay. Wonderful. Great. So, what if you guys can see, we've got a new person in here named Zach. Zach is my boss. Zach is the real goat of Coding Dojo. Incredible. So everybody welcome Zach. Say hello, Zach.
Hello, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Hello.
Zach did inform me, and I'm so sorry. I gave you guys the wrong link. It's a different link. So this survey that you guys just took, I will send you a different link. I am so sorry about that. I messed up. So
I was going to ask how people finished all that in 7 minutes because
Yeah, it was like 30 questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I feel better now.
yeah, this next one's 10. So that's on me. I asked a question and I got it incorrect. So during
That's extra work.
yeah, you know what? Just gotta keep you guys on your toes. It's your last day, gotta really get everything from you. So in that 10-minute break or just at any point today, if you guys can do that, that would be really appreciative. But I'll send that over to you. I'll put that in the chat now, actually. Nope, almost put the same one. Zach, do you mind posting that in the chat for me? That would be awesome.
Sure.
You're the best. Thank you. Okay, this is a 10-question one. That will be much faster. So this will help. But if you guys can, that's in the chat now. That'd be super duper helpful. Thanks, Zach. Okay.
You're welcome.
Any questions on what to expect in web fundamentals and what to expect sort of next? Okay. All right. I want to introduce one more new topic to you, and we're going to lightly cover it. You guys are going to cover it in depth later on, but I just want to make you aware of it. And it's what we call an object. Okay. Can anybody remember if I wanted to deal with an array, how would I create an array? Can anybody tell me? Like just from start to bottom, how do we create an array?
Name it and put some open brackets.
Yeah, open brackets. But if I'm doing, yeah, so I see that Evan said it in here. We got var array equals, and then we have these brackets, right? Now we can have it empty, and that's just what we call an empty array. Or we can have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We got a let, so this why the way this works. Okay, so we know this. This is something hopefully that we are familiar with. We're familiar with index positions. And an array is a great tool for putting multiple data points or multiple data types together, right? Remember, we've kind of only worked with numbers here, but I can have will, I can have true, right? I can have all these different data types together, which is super helpful. It's a great thing for us to collect that. But let's say that I had something like person 1. And maybe the first name is Will, the last name is Calhoun. Maybe my age, or not age, is 31. Maybe I am in Seattle. Cool. So this works, right? This is my profile. This is kind of on me, my first name, my last name, my age, and maybe where I'm located. But if I wanted to get age, if I'm just getting this data and I just see a bunch of this information, maybe I've got like amount of dogs, it's just 2, right? Bowls of cereal I've eaten today, unfortunately, is 3. I've got a problem. If I buy cereal, I eat the whole thing. That's all I'll eat. But now you can see that though I can have multiple data types, it can get a little bit confusing, right? Because let's say that I wanted to know age and I've never met this person. Well, there are 3 logical answers for what age could be, right? It could be 31. It could be 2 in theory, and it could be 3, right? Obviously, these other ones are strings. That's not going to be for age, but you can see how it might be a little bit confusing if we're using just arrays to store all of our data. So that's where what enters is a JavaScript object. A JavaScript object is another way that it's another composite, right? Composite type, so similar to an array, that we can store lots of data together. They can be of different types, but it allows us some key, there are some key differences that allows us to extract and get data more accurately in a way than an array would be. And we'll see kind of how we'll see what I mean here in a second. If I wanted to create this same thing, I would still say, let me comment this out. I can still say let person1 equal. And instead of a curly, or instead of a square bracket, I just do a curly bracket. Now I was going to say instead of a square bracket, what would I use? But I already said the word. But I'm going to use this curly bracket here. Now you don't have to do a return statement and go to the next line. I like to, because for me, it just looks a little bit nicer. But you don't have to. It could all be on one line and so would work fine. Okay. Going back to an array, how do I dictate which, like if I wanted to retrieve one of my items in an array, what is a tool that I'm going to use to do that? Like if I wanted to get Seattle, how would I do that?
Position number.
Exactly, right? My index position. Well, again, I might not know what this represents. This specific index position represents. What's cool about objects is instead of using index positions, it uses what we call a key and value pair, where the first portion is the key. So it's going to be first name. And then the second portion is going to be the value. Well, now instead of doing like an equal sign, I do this colon. And so what this allows is now instead of referring to the index position, I can just refer to the attribute that I'm curious about. If I want to add another one, I could say last name, Calhoun. Right? We're on the left. These are always strings. I just want to point that out. Keys are always. And then on the right, I can have different things. So I can have age, 31. I can have city, Seattle. Maybe we'll do dogs because that's what it represents. And then I have 2. And then maybe bowls of cereal eaten. Is 3. So I'm still saying the same information, right? I still have this information, but now whenever I am dealing with it, right? If I were to get an object for JavaScript, if I'm looking at this, it's a little bit easier for me to understand, right? It's actually a lot of it easier because instead of just not knowing what these numbers represent, this key value pair allows me to sort of categorize whatever my attribute is. So let's say that I wanted to console.log my first name. Well, there's 2 ways I could do this. The first one is what we call using dot notation, where I say the object that I'm referring to in the same way that when we're calling if I had multiple arrays, I want the array of the index that I'm talking about. Like in, if I wanted here, if I wanted like 31, I would say person1, 2. Do the same thing. I say my object name. And then instead of saying a number, I say dot, and then whatever my key name is. My key name. And so what this will do is it will go and get me the value associated with that key. So I'm console logging person one. I'm saying, hey, there is a key of first name. And it's going to say, yep, that's right here. Let me go get the value of that. And it gives me back the value. I'm going to pause there. Any questions?
So
Let's
is
put
the like first name, last name, age, they're all strings, but is that basically just the variable name for whatever you're storing?
So it's not a variable name. It is you can sort of think about it that way, but it is not a variable. It is just an attribute. So you can sort of think about it as like the attribute of your person object. It's
Okay.
called a key, right? So it's just a key name. But you can sort of think about if you've got like a superhero and it's like, you know, special power, and then it's maybe flying, right? If I want to know what is their special power, flying is associated with that. If that makes sense.
Okay, so is it only strings are able to like have attributes or whatever? Or like to be an attribute? Like does it have to be a string?
So you're
or can
saying
you
like,
put it as-
if I, let's see. So if I just did this, what do you guys think? Test. So if I said console log person 3, what do you guys think is going to happen?
Undefined.
Let's see. Let's test it. Didn't like that. Let's see if I do something like this. Let's try this. Test. So you can put, I think I did mention quickly that this was a string, but you can put numbers here. Now I would encourage you to, usually like in the wild, if you will, you'll be able, you're usually going to have a key name. So very rarely will you have like a number. But you can. Now, you might ask, what did I do here? This is confusing because this is a bracket and then I put a number. What the heck is going on? Well, remember I said that this was dot notation, and this is, Trey, do you remember the exact, I don't remember the exact name of this. It's called bracket notation. Thank you, GitHub Copilot. So this is what we call our bracket notation, where we still give the object name. Now, this is a confusing thing, and I recognize that. Instead of doing, we don't do, because if I were you, I would think initially we're going to do something like this, right? That makes sense. But when we are doing bracket notation, we can do the object, we do a bracket. But instead of doing an index number or index position, we do the key name. Now, JavaScript is smart enough to know, hey, you are referring to your, you know, this is a object and this is an array. So it knows that, right? Also, you should not have an array and an object be the same name because it's just renaming a variable. But it knows that, okay, even though there's a bracket here, if I give a string, so that's why even though this was a number, I have to give this string, this is the key, right? And then it can go and get me that information. Now, what I can also do, what's kind of sweet, is I can, let's say here on this person, I wanted to add in, guys, give me an attribute, maybe computer type, right? If I wanted to, what I can do if I wanted to add that is I could say person 1 computer type equals Mac Pro. Now, what JavaScript is going to do is it's going to go in here and say, okay, my person 1 object, and I'm looking for computer type. Cool. I'm looking for a key of computer type and it's going to go to this top one. Are you the key? Nope. Are you the key? Nope. Are you the key? Nope. It's going to do that for all of them until it gets to the end. And it's going to say, computer type doesn't exist. I'm going to go ahead and create it. Because I'm declaring a value here, it will create. So if I were to say something like console.log person 1, it will create that new key and give it a value. So if I come up here and I run this, I get will, which is this top dot notation, test, which is our bracket notation. I added in computer type and then I console log the entire object. And now you'll see that I have a new key value pair called computer type and with a value of MacBook Pro. So it can know that. And the same way, let's say that I did, I caved in, even though, because I know I will tonight for sure anyway, because I have no self-control. If I said person 1, bowls of cereal eaten equals 4. And I run this again. We'll see that on this first one, I had bowls of cereal eaten 3. And now if it finds the key that we referred to, remember we said that if it doesn't exist, it'll create it for me. But if I find the key and it does exist, it'll update the value. So in this case, it updated it to 4. Justin, I see your hands raised.
Why did it change the order and put 3 at the very first line?
It's a great question. I'm not sure. You notice it also has a, I'm thinking because it's the type number. So if I do this, let's see if it changes it. Thinking it has to do with something like the fact that it's a number. No. I'm not sure. Trey, do you know what?
I don't.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know
wait.
if Zach's still on. I don't know if Zach knows.
Scroll down inside. Can you show me a little bit more of your terminal for that part? Yeah, I don't have a clue why that happened. Why would it put that up top? And you're only printing it once, right? That's the only thing you're printing?
Yeah, that's it. I'm not sure. I'm just console logging. What my inclination is that because this was a number, but it doesn't put them in alphabetical order. I'm not sure. I don't know why it prints that way, even though that's down here. The order doesn't matter, which is nice, right? It can be in whatever order because I can just target whatever key I want. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if it's because it's like this apostrophe that it floated it to the top, but I don't know. It's not in alphabetical order, so I don't know. Not sure.
But the other thing I find a little weird is why is it that that one is showing up with,
This,
yeah,
yeah. No, I'm
instead
not
of
sure.
just being 3?
Instead of just being 3. No say. But the other thing too is you could probably run it in like a code pen and it might give you a different thing. So it could be a VS Code thing. Let me try running. No, it gave it to me here, there too.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's something I'll have to look into. Is it showing that that's yeah, it's still showing that even though these green ones. Huh. I don't know. Okay. Any questions on objects? Kind of this brief, just wanted to make you guys aware that this does exist. You will be using objects, just so you know. This is a tool that is everywhere. There's something called JSON, that as you get into your main languages, you'll be dealing with these things called APIs, and APIs often will give you a JSON response, meaning that it just gives you a JavaScript object. So you'll have to siphon through and figure that out. But any questions on this? The main kind of takeaways are it's another way to store data similar to an array, but instead of using index positions to locate a value, you associate a key with your value and then use that key to grab that information. So in the same way that we say, person of, index position 0, we just say person of first name or whatever that key is, and then we can go and get that value. So you can see that this would be much, much more simple if we're getting some data, because data is not always clean. It's not always perfect. And so a way that you can look at it is if it wasn't, required data, you could say, I want to get the address of this person, something like that. And it's a little bit easier to understand versus just, a bunch of values being held together in an array. Both have their positions, absolutely. Okay. Any other questions on objects? Again, this is a very, very brief. Kyle's going to go through these much, much more. And then when you get into your actual languages, if you go to Python first, it's called a dictionary. They're the same thing. Just one's called a dictionary in Python and it's called an object in JavaScript. But you will be using these all the time. All the time. Especially if you go to the JavaScript stack as well. So,
Hey, I'm just kind of curious about something.
yeah.
Could it be moving it to the top because you have the console log person 1 at the bottom there in square brackets, and if you change it to a dot 3, would it put it in the right position?
It shouldn't. What this is doing is this
Dot
getting me the
notation.
information. So whenever even I look here, I'm trying to make this bigger. It's giving it to me right here.
So if
Right.
you don't change it to a dot notation, it wouldn't do anything.
Let's try it. I don't think so. I don't think it allows me to do a dot, even though,
No, because you have yeah, that's what I meant. Because you put the quotes around it.
but the quote should, in
Change
the
that.
same way that I can do first name.
Yeah, and
Oh,
the
okay.
reason why the quotes for that 3 stays is just so you know it's not just an integer. But I'm reading that it's saying that it could be just the way that depending on the JavaScript engine,
Yeah.
it may choose to pick that one first, but you didn't enter the 3-1 first, right? When you made the object, did you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's strange. I've never seen that. This is the first time I've seen
Yeah,
that.
same. What's curious is that this is, even in my terminal, this is green. Where all
Yeah.
the values are green.
Yeah, and I just think that's just to let you know that that's still a that is a string and not a number.
Sure.
I think that's the
Oh, yeah,
reason for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I put the same thing you have in a different order and something else, and mine printed out the same way I put it in. It didn't put the 3 up top, so that's what's weird to me. That's weird.
Let's try if I change the order. Nope. Could be the version of Node that I'm also running.
Yeah, an extension or something, maybe.
An
Has to
extension,
be.
something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions, my friends? So somebody asked, so I can see it being a more simple way to use an object over an array if you need to call something, but don't know where it lies in the sequence. But what would be an example? An array would be better than an object. Great question there, Evan. So one really simple way is that if you're dealing with like IoT data, oftentimes it's going to just send you, measurements, whether it's like I worked on like a real-time positioning with like using ultra wideband. And so you have these like sensors and then it's sending you data, right? So it's sending you like these little triangulations of like where if you have it on person. So let's think about like those little air tags. Well, it's sending data on where it's at. And then based off of that, it's getting all this information and then it's making some calculations. The way it usually sends that data is just in numbers, and those numbers, those little brackets, it's not going to create a key for each time. So it's just might have a whole bunch of like numbers or location pieces in order to do that. So that's one way. Maybe if you've got like a bunch of names. Oh, I guess one really big way, not to get super in the weeds, but we can say like, let basketball team equal. And then we can say, you know, like LeBron, so here, if I were to do this, this is what you'll often see, is you'll see an array of objects. So if I wanted to get, let's say, okay, this is the last challenging question I'm going to ask you guys. I've got this array of objects. I want one more, maybe. We'll see. Right, perfect. Okay. I've got these 3 objects in my array. Let's say that I wanted to get this height. Be at 6, 6. I want to get this height. Does anybody know how I would do that? Knowing with what we know now, how would I do that? I wanted to get specifically this piece of information. Think about when we had multiple arrays. How did we do that? Yeah.
Use brackets.
Yeah. So first off, I'm going to console log. I'm going to say basketball team. Now I'm going to say the position of my object, right? So in the same way, my array still has it. I've got position 0, position 1, position 2. So I can say position 1. Then I can say, I see that in the chat, dot height. Right? I'm going into that value into my array. I'm grabbing this value, which we know is an object. And then I'm saying, okay, I have an object. Now I want to get the height of that. So if I come here, you get 6, 6. In the same way, I could have done, oops. Height. This would have also got me 6, 6. So I grab this. Now this is my object, and then I can go into my object and grab the information. Okay. That's all I have. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, friends, it was a pleasure being your instructor. Again, I'm so sorry about the incorrect link for the survey. Hopefully, if you guys can, again, it's super helpful for us to fill that out. Let me get that one more time for you guys. It helps also our bosses know that how we are doing. So that is in the chat for you. Best of luck. I'm sure I will see you around. Whether you are taking MERN or Java or projects and algorithms, I will be here. If you guys ever need anything, please feel free to reach out. Always on your team and always will believe in you guys. You can do it. And again, it's been such a pleasure to be your instructor. We will maybe give it 5 minutes. So I'll tell our CSMs when they get here that we're going to start at 5:05. And then we will have that. And then we will be done officially with all classes. I will probably hop out. Trey, I will make you the host of this. I'll hop out. That way this recording can get started and downloading, and I'll try to download it during the career services meeting. So other than that, friends, really, really grateful for you and good luck.